Yo, Drake just got caught doing the most disrespectful thing of his entire career, and it's against the same country that built his empire. The man who turned dancehall into his personal piggy bank. You are not ready for what he pulled when Jamaica was literally drowning. The receipts are nuclear, the timing is criminal, and the whole island is feeling betrayed. Bro really woke up, watched the whole country get destroyed, and chose violence against his own fan base. Before we get into it, subscribe, don't miss it. Aubrey Drake Graham, Drizzy himself, launched a limited edition Jamaica OG hoodie through his October's very own brand in partnership with Vybz Kartel as Hurricane Melissa Relief. The drop ran November 6th through November 13th, 2025, on the official OVO website. Bro really thought this was a W move. Now let's pull up the receipts that show why the whole island is heated. So check this. On November 6, 2025, OVO posted the official campaign page and said, and I quote, "For every Jamaican OG hoodie sold between November 6 through November 13th, 2025, OVO will donate $100 to the Rock House Foundation Hurricane Melissa Relief Fund." When I read that, I was like, wait, only 100. Out of what? Bro said what? Let me keep reading. Then Now Toronto dropped a full breakdown on November 13th, 2025, exposing the actual price. The special edition hoodie is being sold for $228 between November 6th to 13th. Nah, you can't say that and expect people to take you serious. The fans clocked it immediately. One comment on Instagram said it best, "Love the cause, but you're selling it for $228, donating $100 to the charity relief, and pocketing $128 profit for a hoodie that costs no more than $40 to make." When I saw that comment, I had to do a double take. The math was mathing against Drake. Another fan went on X and just said it plain. They could just donate. And honestly, that's a line that's been ringing in my head for days. Like, brew, you're worth nearly $500 million. You needed a hoodie to help? Now flip the page. Look at what other artists were saying while Drake was silent. The Weeknd's team announced, The Weeknd has donated $350,000 from his XO humanitarian fund to relief efforts in Jamaica. Abel ain't even Jamaican, bro. He's from Scarborough, and he still wrote a check. Then Shaggy, who actually lived this, told Rolling Stone, "People are homeless. There's no running water. There's no electricity. There's no shelter. They were sleeping on the streets. There are actually bodies trapped in homes that people haven't been able to clear." Read that again. Bodies trapped in homes. And Drake's response was a $228 sweater. And listen, this culture vulture conversation, it ain't new. Back in 2017, Sean Paul went on record with The Guardian and said, "It's a sore point when people like Drake or Bieber or other artists come and do dancehall-oriented music, but don't credit where dancehall came from." When I heard that line years ago, I was like, nah, maybe Sean Paul is reaching. Now, 8 years later, that man was a prophet. Now that we got the quotes, let's connect the dots. That OVO drop, it went live exactly 9 days after Melissa made landfall. 9 days of total silence from Drake's main account. No story repost, no donation link, no prayer hands emoji, while the entire diaspora was begging him to say something. Bro picked the worst time to ghost the culture that fed him. That partnership with Vybz Kartel happened the same month Drake quietly extended his 5-year reign as Jamaica's #1 most streamed Spotify artist. So while the island was literally rebuilding zinc roofs, his royalty check from Jamaican listeners was stacking. That's a move of someone who's desperate for image control, not someone who actually cares. His silence happened while every other Toronto-adjacent artist was on private jets. Shaggy was offloading planes of supplies in St. Elizabeth within days. Winnie Harlow was literally riding boats through flooded communities delivering food. And where was the sixth god? Reposting OVO product drops. The Rock House Foundation choice? Also peep this. It's a legit org that invested over $11 million in Jamaican education, but it's also the safest PR partner imaginable. No tax receipt drama. No accountability tool. Just a logo on a hoodie. Opposition really thought nobody would notice the strategic laundering of a relief effort? And here's the kicker on the timeline. Vybz Kartel's OW and the Digipalma Foundation already had a 40-foot container on the ground in western Jamaica with 12,000 bottles of water and 1,500 loaves of bread before the OVO hoodie even dropped. So Kartel didn't need Drake's hoodie. Kartel was already feeding people. The merch was for Drake's brand, not the island. That's when you know opposition doesn't have real advisors. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about the wording on that OVO landing page. Read it slow. Celebrate Jamaica's cultural influence. That word celebrates. That's a celebration verb. You don't celebrate during a funeral, brew. You mourn. The copywriter on that page shows marketing language over mourning language. That's a forensic tell that this was a product launch first and a relief effort second. And Drake really didn't catch that? That's embarrassing. Zoom in on the price tag itself. $228. Not $250. Not $300. $228. Why? Because $228 minus $100 leaves $128, which is suspiciously close to a standard OVO hoodie retail margin. That number wasn't picked from the heart. Fam, it was picked from a spreadsheet. If opposition had half a brain trust, they would have at least priced it at $100 and donated 100%. The fact they didn't? That's the loudest receipt in this whole story. Now peep the back graphic. The hoodie features a Jamaican coat of arms alongside Jamaica's national motto, out of many, one people. Bro slapped the national emblem of a country on a $228 sweater while that country was burying its dead. That's not homage, that's a flex. That motto, out of many, one people, is literally on the Jamaican passport. You can't commercialize a national symbol during a humanitarian crisis and call it love. That's where he lost the plot. And here's a layer nobody caught. Drake's OVO blog never posted a direct donate here link to the Rock House GoFundMe on his personal Instagram main feed. The hoodie page itself doesn't even hyperlink Rock House direct donation portal, just mentions a name. For a relief effort, there's no friction-free way to just donate without buying merch. That's not an accident. That's UX designed to convert grief into checkout. Opposition thought that was clever. Nah, brew. That's a DISS to anyone who actually wanted to help. Now let's see how the media covered this. Now Toronto framed it brutally. The headline literally reads, Drake and Vybz Kartel under fire for making profit over Jamaica relief hoodie. They didn't soften it. They didn't run cover for the hometown hero. They straight up called it profiteering. That's Toronto media, people who live Drake's hometown, saying the math doesn't add up. But then peep how Billboard handled it. Billboard's main hurricane coverage led with a weekend $350,000 check. They only mentioned Shaggy's grassroots private flights as a second story. Drake's name? Not even in the headline. When the biggest music publication on earth doesn't even consider your donation newsworthy enough to lead with, that's the industry quietly telling you the move was weak. Then you got Now Toronto's follow-up piece listing global stars stepping in. They put Drake first on the list out of politeness, but the description is one cold sentence about the hoodie. Meanwhile, Rihanna's Clara Lionel Foundation got a full breakdown of her Rebuild and Reimagine fund covering health, water, and schools. The framing tells you everything. Drake got a courtesy mention. The real heroes got a chapter. Now some Drake defenders are saying this is cap. You don't even know what the $128 is for. It could be for transportation. It could be to pay people fairly. One fan said, Brew, the cost of a cotton hoodie is documented. Industry-wide, it sits between $20 to $40 to manufacture. That math doesn't survive 5 minutes of scrutiny. Drake supporters are reaching trying to defend this. If you still think Drizzy has a point after the receipts, you're just biased. The media trying to spin this as charity, but the receipts don't lie. Even his hometown paper called him out. But here's what nobody is saying. The mainstream narrative says Drake is just a businessman doing business. Some hoodie money is better than no hoodie money. The Rock House Foundation is a real org. End of story. Here's the real story they won't tell you. This isn't about a hoodie. This is about a 15-year extraction operation finally hitting its expiration date. Drake didn't just borrow from Jamaican culture. He built an entire empire on it. We're talking about a man whose top 4 career songs, Hotline Bling, One Dance, Work, and Passion Fruit, are all rooted in dancehall DNA. One dance alone has cleared 4.2 billion Spotify streams, making it the 8th most streamed song in Spotify history. Do you understand what that means? 4 billion streams. From a beat that lives in the same musical bloodline as Sail Away Riddim. And the dancehall artists who built that bloodline? They are rebuilding zinc roofs with their own hands. This is industry politics at its most ruthless. Our opposition is a puppet, and the algorithm is pulling the strings. The reason Drake has been Jamaica's #1 streamed artist for 5 consecutive years isn't because Jamaicans love him more than they love Vybz Kartel. It's because Spotify's algorithm, built by people who don't know what dancehall is, prioritizes Drake's pop-leaning versions of dancehall over the original artists. Drake doesn't even have the TRY to win. He just has to exist on the right platform. The industry needed him to be the face of dancehall pop crossover. They got exactly what they wanted. And now, they need him to look like a savior. So they greenlit the Hoodie play. Remember that 2017 quote from Sean Paul we pulled earlier? Here's the real reason he said that. It wasn't bitter. It was a warning. Sean Paul was telling us in 2017 that the moment of truth was coming. The moment Drake would have to choose, ambassador or extractor. Hurricane Melissa was that moment. And Drake chose extractor. We've seen this playbook before. Elvis with black blues musicians. The Rolling Stones with Chuck Berry. The pattern is always the same. A foreign artist absorbs a sound, scales it globally, gets richer than the originators ever did. And when the originator community is in crisis, the borrower goes silent or moneizes a grief. Our opposition is repeating the same mistakes that turned every culture vulture in music history into a cautionary tale. Drake is on the losing side of history. The dancehall industry was actually declining during the years Drake ran the global charts with their sound. Read that twice. And here's the part that nobody in the music press has the guts to print. Drake's whole brand is built on the optics of authenticity. Patois in lyrics. Movado in Find Your Love. Popcorn on stage. The whole sonic fingerprint. But when authenticity required sacrifice, when it required cutting a $5 million check the way Rihanna did through her Clara Lionel Foundation, suddenly Drake's Jamaican-ness went on vacation. Opposition is rewriting history to stay relevant because his real story isn't impressive when stripped of borrowed credibility. His whole persona is manufactured, and Hurricane Melissa just blew the roof off it. Every move, opposition, makes it predictable, is already lost. And that's the truth they won't tell you. So what happens next? Here's what's most likely to happen. Drake is gonna try to memory hold this whole Hoodie situation. Mark my words. Within a few weeks, his team will quietly release a separate personal donation leaked through a Caribbean blog with no receipts attached, just an insider says tag. They are gonna try to clean the timeline, but it won't work. The internet already screenshot the $228 price tag. When Drake doesn't respond with a real public number, he's gonna look desperate screaming into a void of dancehall fans who already moved on. The silence is gonna hurt Drizzy more than any diss track ever could, because dancehall fans don't beef, they just stop streaming. And when those Jamaican Spotify numbers start dipping in 2026, that's a receipt that actually matters. Now, if Drake does try to escalate, drop a surprise Jamaica-themed EP, fly down for a photo op, announce a secret $1 million donation months late, he's gonna get destroyed. The diaspora is paying attention now. Every post will be picked apart frame by frame. Every patois lyric will be re-examined for the receipts. We saw what happened when Kendrick exposed him. Imagine that, but with an entire country holding the receipts. Drake is not ready for what's coming if the dancehall community decide to organize. Vybz Kartel's Foundation, Sean Paul's Matching Fund, Spice's Grace Hampton Foundation. These are real infrastructures now. Drake doesn't have a Jamaica-shaped lifeline anymore. Looking at the bigger picture, this is a moment everyone will remember as when Drake's dancehall era officially died. 5 years from now, hip-hop historians are gonna point to Hurricane Melissa as a cultural fault line. Before Melissa, Drake was a global dancehall ambassador. After Melissa, Drake is a guy who sold $228 hoodies during a Category 5 catastrophe. The next generation of Toronto Caribbean artists, the actual children of Jamaican parents who grew up on real rhythms, they're not gonna model their careers after Drake anymore. They're gonna model them after the artists who showed UP. Drake is watching the culture move on without him, and there's nothing he can do about it. The era is over. The crown is back on the island where it always belonged. Whatever happens, one thing's clear. Drake already lost. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss when we expose what everyone else is too scared to say. Ring that bell for notifications. And if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos next. Trust me, you'll want to see what we found.